What is going on, football fans? Back at it with another New York Giants video, and in this video, I'm going to be previewing the Week 4 matchup between the two rivals, the New York Giants and the Washington Redskins. And this is an historical rivalry. They go all the way back to near the beginning of time. The Giants hold the advantage in this matchup, 101, 69, and 4. They've had 4 ties. In recent times, it's been more split. 3 out of the last 6 have gone the Giants' way, so, nobody's really had the advantage there in the last 3 seasons. The last matchup they played was actually the Giants' last win before last Sunday. The Giants took down the Redskins, although they were, riddled with injuries, to the tune of 40-16, a game in which the Giants absolutely dominated them in Washington. The Redskins come into this game at 0-3, the Giants at 1-2. The Giants got their first win last week when they took down the Tampa Bay Bucks in Tampa. And we certainly got some luck, right? We trailed 28-10 at the half. We come back, and Tampa misses a field goal with no time left on the clock. It was nice to get some luck for once. Usually it goes the other way. But the Giants building some confidence after Daniel Jones' debut. As far as the Redskins go, they're lost right now. They're 0-3. Now, I will say they have played some very tough opponents. And Jay Gruden seems like he's on the hot seat. They have losses to the Eagles, the Cowboys, and the Chicago Bears. 3 teams that were thought to be, powerhouses in the NFC coming into the season. And they played Monday night against the Bears, a game in which Case Keenum looked absolutely lost. He turned the ball over 5 times. He threw 3 picks. He put the ball on the ground twice. Before that, Keenum was having a fantastic year. I think he had 7 touchdowns, no interceptions. His first 2 games against the maybe 6 and whatever. He had not turned the ball over in the air between the Eagles and the Cowboys. Last week saw him turn it over a ton. And hopefully the Giants can get after him and force him to make some mistakes. But that's how they are coming into the game. Before we break down the matchup, I wanted to go over some of the newer acquisitions for the Washington Redskins, for Giants fans that may not be aware. The Washington Redskins this year, of course, acquired former New York Giant Landon Collins, making him the highest paid safety in the NFL. Now, I like Landon Collins as an in-the-box safety, but he was not worth that money, and we all know he struggles in coverage, which will be a huge key in this game. The Giants will have to use that to their advantage with Evan Ingram, but we'll get into that in a little bit. Of course, Case Keenum, the new quarterback, was an offseason acquisition by the Redskins, a guy that we don't expect to play there the entire season, especially being that they're off to an 0-3 start. They, of course, drafted Dwayne Haskins in the first round of this year's draft, and a guy that we expect to see some time. Eric Flowers, the other former New York Giant, is on the offensive line for the Redskins as well. And again, thank God for that. Eric Flowers will look to exploit him with the pass rush. Landon Collins, we touched on. Montez Sweat is the other first-round pick, a guy that I was hoping the Giants may potentially take at 17. Love the kid's upside. He's a guy on the outside that could get after the quarterback. Something that the Redskins need, being that they only have 5 team sacks so far this year. Ryan Kerrigan is their most consistent player. He's been to the last 3 Pro Bowls. So far, he has 1 sack this season. And then last but not least, the 3rd-round wide receiver out of Ohio State. And maybe part of the reason they drafted him is he played with the quarterback they drafted, Dwayne Haskins. But Terry McLaurin has been phenomenal. And he's on pace to win Rookie of the Year so far this season. He's got over 250 yards through the air and 3 touchdowns. He's been one of the lone bright spots for this Washington Redskins football team. So those are the new acquisitions for the Redskins. As far as the injury report goes, players of note for the Redskins, Darius Geis will be out, it seems. He hasn't participated in practice. And Jordan Reed. Both of them are on the injury report as players that will probably not play. As far as the Giants go, well, we know Saquon Barkley is certainly going to be out. And we'll have to wait and see with the rest of it. But those are the notable players on the injury report. So how will the New York Giants attack this Washington Redskins team without Saquon Barkley? Well, they did a good job last week when he went out. And even when Barkley was in the game, he was getting stuffed. Something that I think the Giants will be able to do a better job of this week, even without Barkley. Reason being, the Washington Redskins have struggled mightily in the passing game. And I think they're going to look at the tape. And with Barkley out, I don't expect them to stuff the box. I expect Wayne Gallman to have an efficient game. I'm not saying he's going to have a great game, but I think he'll have a pretty efficient game in this contest. When you look at the Washington Redskins on the defensive side of the football, they've been bad. As a matter of fact, they've been just as bad, if not worse, than the Giants. They've given up the third most points in football. They've given up the seventh most yards. So you can certainly move the ball in this football team. And just like the Giants, they've been getting killed in the time of possession. The Redskins rank, I believe, 29th. The Giants, 27th. They're both at the bottom of the league. They've both been absolutely dreadful this year. And with Darius Geis out, that hurts the Washington Redskins offense as well. Their running game was bad enough. They're averaging only 2.8 yards a carry, which somehow only ranks 30th in the league. I don't know how this team's worse than that. 2.8 yards a carry, that is awful. Some of that has to do with the offensive line. Some of that has to do with the running back. Now, most people thought coming into this season, the Redskins' backfield was going to be a strength with the three-headed monster of Geis, Peterson, and Thompson. And Thompson is certainly a weapon the Giants are going to want to look out for in the passing game. He's a guy that we're going to have to, look out for, no doubt about it. We'll have to spy him with a linebacker, and that's another guy we should have mentioned. Alec Ogletree will more than likely be out in this game, and that could be a vital part of the Redskins' game plan to try to exploit the linebackers in coverage, something the Giants have certainly struggled with in recent weeks. In Ogletree's place, I'm not too sure who they're going to put there. We'll see. They added Nate Stupar back to the roster. We know that Ryan Connolly will certainly be in the starting lineup, as he has done pretty well for the New York Giants, the fifth-round pick. The other defensive players that need to step up, well, the secondary cannot look the way it has, and I expect Janoris Jenkins probably to be paired up on Terry McLaurin. Now, last week, he was in single coverage the entire game. The Giants sent the house. Now, will the Giants change that up this week? We'll have to wait and see. As bad as the Redskins' run game has been, maybe the Giants think maybe we use a couple extra guys in pass coverage to try to help out the secondary, because the secondary has struggled mightily. One thing I will make note of, DeAndre Baker has done a good job for the Giants in the last 6 quarters, really. He was getting burnt the first half of the Bills game, played better in the second half, played good last week. You didn't really hear Godwin's name, the wide receiver he was paired up on. He did a good job there. So we'll have to wait and see what they do. But DeAndre Baker has played much better in press coverage, which is his natural. That's what he does naturally. That's what he did in college. They had him playing a lot of zone early on. He was getting killed because of it. He's not used to playing that way. So I expect the Giants to continue to use him in that fashion. But I would think McLaurin, we will put Janoris Jenkins on McLaurin. A wide receiver we really have to look out for. Probably the best weapon for this Redskins offense. We'll have to wait and see. As far as, like I was saying, the Giants offense, Danny Dimes. Keep doing what you're doing. I expect to see a lot more play-action rollouts. I expect to see him use his legs. And I think we're going to try to establish that ground game, because I think the Redskins will come out with a much different defensive game plan than the prior week when we had Saquon Barkley in the lineup. I think the Bucs put 8 in the box, and they forced Dimes to beat him, which gave him single coverage. And Danny Dimes did that. Daniel Jones, of course. This week, I expect the Redskins to come out with a different look. I don't think they're going to be sending 7, 8 guys in the box. I think they're going to have mass protection in the passing game, and Daniel Jones will have to get it done. Now, to help out Daniel Jones, we have to establish that run game to keep that defense honest. And hopefully, we're able to do that with the running backs that we have in Gallman and company. So we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. Like I said, the Redskins only have 5 sacks. They haven't done a great job of getting after the quarterback. The Giants only have 7, but they've done a good job in recent weeks. They've had 7 over the last 2 games. Giants have to find a way to create some turnovers, and Keenum, for the most part, outside of the game against the Bears, has done a good job of not doing that. That's been a strength of the Redskins. The Bears, of course, have an all-world defense. We know the Giants are not going to be able to match that effort. But I think this is a very winnable game for the Giants if they stick to the game plan. You also got to look out for Vernon Davis. Very good weapon in the passing game at the tight end spot. So they're going to use those to their advantage. They're going to use Chris Thompson a lot in the passing game. You'll see a lot of screens. You'll see him coming out in wheel routes, and they're going to use Vernon Davis. On our side, Evan Ingram has to tear up Landon Collins. Landon Collins can't cover anybody. I'm sorry. I know he's a good tackler. He leads the team in tackles for the Redskins, but he can't cover. And the Giants have to take advantage of that with Evan Ingram. Sterling Shepard had a great week last week. Hopefully he can continue up that now that we're starting to get our receiving core back. Golden Tate's still not back. Darius Slayton had a great debut game as well, in which he caught for over 80 yards. But we'll see how the Redskins match up. We're going to have to wait and see. But I expect to see Evan Ingram heavily involved in this football game. He already has 2 100-yard games. Coming into the year, he hadn't had a 100-yard game for his career. So Evan Ingram is one of the best tight ends in football right now, and the Giants need to continue to use him in the passing game. Hopefully Daniel Jones can work on those fumbling issues. I expect to see teams see that on the tape and try to strip that ball out of his hand. Has to hold on to the football. Turnovers could be costly in this game. I think time of possession is a huge key. Like I said, both teams have struggled. I don't think either team's won the time of possession in any of their 3 games this year. Well, someone's going to have to win it in this game. And hopefully, it's the New York Giants. And there's no reason why it can't be. The Redskins have struggled mightily running the football. And the Giants, well, they've done a pretty good job outside of last week, albeit Saquon Barkley was in the lineup. So I have to wait and see how it all plays out, guys. But hopefully the Giants establish that ground game. It'll help Daniel Jones and Evan Ingram in the play-action pass. And, I'm really looking forward to that matchup between Collins and Ingram because Collins has been talking a lot of smack about his former team. Well, on Sunday, he gets a chance to back it up. Unfortunately, we're not going to get to see the Haskins versus Daniel Jones matchup, which I was kind of hoping for. I'm sure we'll get to see that later in the season when these two teams take on each other in Washington. But as far as the final score goes, guys, I got the Giants winning a pretty close game. I think the Redskins keep it fairly close. But in the end, the Giants get their second victory, and they get to 500. Giants, 24. Redskins, 20. As always, if you liked what you watched, please subscribe. Drop a comment. Maybe give me a little thumbs up. Cheers.